Sometimes they are, and sometimes they're not. Welcome to this episode of Am I the Asshole? Our first one is from Bread Acrobatic 9859. Am I the asshole for explaining to my future sister-in-law why her kids will never receive anything from us? I, 27 female, have a brother, 33 male, who has been dating his girlfriend Sarah for 2 years, and he proposed a couple months ago. Sarah has 2 kids from her previous relationship, 8 male and 6 female. I would say that my parents and I are not very close to Sarah and her kids, but we are cordial and never had any problems before. My partner, I, Bro, and Sarah attended the Easter dinner at my parents', and that's when the drama happened. Sarah's kids were at their father's, so Sarah used this celebration to confront us about my brothers requesting a prenup. Basically, my brother explained to her that he expects them to sign a prenup and that only his biological kids will have the right to inherit anything from our family assets. This is something that we as a family discussed before, and we all agree that only our children should receive assets or money from our inheritance. My brother is free to pay whatever he wants for his stepchildren out of his own money, but my children and his bio children will never have to share anything that our family has with them. Sarah claimed that we are being unfair and that we are treating her and her kids like some strangers instead of embracing them like a family. She said that the normal and decent thing to do was for us to see her kids like my brother's kids, who should have equal rights to any children they may have together. I told her, sure, after she gets married to my brother, she will become our in-law and her kids will be my brother's stepchildren, but that does not mean we have to share anything with them. I asked her, will my future kids receive anything from her parents or from their bio father's parents? She said no, obviously, so I asked her then why would her kids be entitled to receive anything from us? Sarah said because they will be our family, so I told her that we have plenty of cousins that are also family, but I don't go around wishing to share my inheritance with them. There was a lot more back and forth between us, and Sarah was not letting this go. My brother asked her to stop because we were there to celebrate Easter, not to have this kind of conversation, but she kept going, saying we need to clarify it once and for all. I told her from where we stand, everything is clear, and it is only her that has a problem. She said we're being greedy and cruel to some kids, and I snapped. I told her to deal with it. She's free to work her ass off and gather assets to leave to her children, but we will never divide anything outside of our family, and she should not expect her children to be our problem or burden to finance. I honestly feel she is very manipulative, and she's using my brother for what she and her kids can get from him. But that's my brother's problem to decide if this is the kind of partner he wants. I just want to know if I was too blunt in telling her the truth. I really don't see anything wrong with that. I feel like in the end, it's up to the person, whoever is going to have the inheritance, to decide whether they want to share that outside of the family or not. I don't think anybody has any real right to come in and dictate anything on those terms. Honestly, if I were the brother, I would run, and run fast. OP's definitely not the asshole. This next one is by No More Office Dogs. Am I the asshole for choosing my roommate's business over a big family reunion after how my family acted? About 3 years ago, I left my ex. He wasn't a horrible guy or anything, but I was unhappy. He was obsessed with a video game and did some weird things on it. We had a dead bedroom and he wouldn't work on it, and we just shifted into roommates, really. I didn't have enough saved up for my own place, but I knew if I didn't leave, I'd end up stuck. I'd asked members of my family if I could stay with them until I had things figured out, and had a plan for roughly 1 month, up to 2 months. They all declined, so I lived in my car for a while. My family is big on pulling yourself up by the bootstraps. No handouts, accept the consequences of your choices, etc. So I was not surprised. I did not have local friends to ask. Thankfully, after a few months, my high school friend Penny moved back to town and invited me to be her roommate, and that's where I am now. Now for the conflict. My mom asked me what I was doing in August because they were trying to get everyone to Florida for a family reunion. They had made reservations and things under the assumption I'd go. A while ago, Penny asked me if I could help her out at her craft fair this year. She does 10 to 15 of them, and it's a big to-do. She sells gorgeous jewelry and ceramics. I gladly accepted. I told my mom that I had plans over the summer and wouldn't be able to come. She got angry with me and asked me what plans could be better than a trip to Florida. I explained what I'd be doing, and she scoffed. She told me that this was probably the last time we'd all get to be with some of the older family. She said I have no sense of familial obligation. Suddenly, there's a family obligation for me to pay to travel to Florida and to spend time with people who wouldn't even help me out when I needed it. I went to family dinners where at the end of the night, I'd leave to go sleep in my car in the Walmart parking lot and nobody blinked. I brought that up to my mom and she immediately said that my own bad choices are why I ended up living in my car, and they were not required to coddle me as a grown woman. I said it goes both ways. She said I was being a petty brat. I ended the call. My sister later called me about it and asked me what my problem was and why I'm still holding ancient grudges against the rest of them, and how this trip was supposed to be a big reset for the family. I do know that there are few members of my family I probably won't see again if I don't go. This is the main reason I wonder if I'm just holding on to hurt or if it's justified for me to do this. Am I the asshole for not going to the family reunion and picking my roommate instead? I was always taught that if you make a commitment to something, you stick to it. Even if something better may come along, you already have that prior commitment, you made that, so you should stick to it. Unless a life or death situation thing happens, yeah, I don't really see the OP being an asshole, especially how their own family treated them. And our final one is from Throwaway12389098. Am I the asshole for not inviting my nephew to my son's birthday party? I, 34 female, have a son, Killian, 14 male, who just recently had a birthday. The issue stems from his birthday last year, where we invited all his cousins and his friends to celebrate with him. The party went great for the first half hour, but when it came time to cut the cake, I went over to the fridge to get it and saw it was half eaten. I was obviously upset about this because this had been a cake that I had made by a professional baker that cost me around $140, and my son really loved the design. I asked who ate the cake, and my sister, 44 female, laughed it off when her son Robbie, 16 male, told her that he ate the cake because he was hungry. To be clear, the cake wasn't the only food at the party. Throughout the party, we served many different dishes, such as wings, veggie platters, pizzas, chips, and sodas. I was obviously angry that my son couldn't have his cake and had to quickly go out and buy one from Walmart. I'm honestly still shocked that with all the food at the party, Robbie still managed to clear half of a huge cake. It was enough to produce about 20 slices. I called my sister later to tell her I wasn't happy with what her son had done, and since I had spent so much money on the cake, I expected it back. She then accused me of being fat-phobic, which is absolutely not true. I've never once discriminated against Robbie at any time. This was just a false accusation. To explain, Robbie has a weight problem and has been having issues with binging since he was around 13, which is why he's about 250 pounds, and my sister has never failed to let anyone know of that and expects for everyone to bend over backwards for Robbie since he has it hard. This year, Killian wanted to have a friends-only party with the exception of 2 cousins, one that only his friends and closest cousins could come to since he hated his party from last year. I asked why, and he explained to me that he was embarrassed of Robbie, since all he did was poke fun at his friends and him, bring his own uninvited +1, and obviously ate some of the cake. I complied, and only invited his friends and allowed 2 of his cousins to join as well. Luckily, some of my siblings were understanding. The only one who had an issue with this was my sister. She called to ask me why Robbie wasn't invited, and I explained to her that Killian doesn't want him there because of what he did last year. My sister was infuriated and said she knew we had an issue with her son's weight. Since then, she's been ranting all over Facebook, and I've been getting calls from relatives, and this entire situation has been stressing me out. Am I the asshole? The only asshole in this story is the sister and her kid, because obviously she makes excuses for her kid's bad behavior as well as not setting any kind of boundaries, so I'm assuming in that home, that kid has free run to do whatever the hell they want and is never told no. OP is definitely not the asshole for respecting her child's wishes and ensuring that the child has a decent party like they want. Alright, that's enough stories for the day. Well, that wraps up this episode of Am I the Asshole? If you liked the video, please drop a like, share my content on all of your social media, subscribe if you haven't already, and make sure to hit that bell so you're notified every time I upload, and drop a comment down below. It really helps with the algorithm and helps new people find my channel. Thanks for watching, thanks to my patrons and super thanks contributors. Have a great day and stay safe out there.